Good evening, everyone. Jesus spoke to the crowds and to his disciples, saying, "The scribes and Pharisees have taken their seat on the chair of Moses. Therefore, do and observe all things whatsoever they tell you, but do not follow their example." Matthew 23, verses 1 to 3. Sometimes people's words inspire us, but more often it is the witness they give with their action that inspires. Additionally, when someone's words do not match up with their actions, they are seen as hypocrites. Jesus is very hard on the scribes and the Pharisees for this reason. For they preach, but they do not practice. They spoke about the law of God, taught it in a detailed way, but they did not truly practice God's law as it was intended to be practiced. Jesus goes on to give a list of the ways that these religious leaders failed to live the laws of God. They failed on their charity and encouragement of others. They did everything for public praise and for show, and they sought out honors and meaningless titles. As a result, they cared little for others and cared much about themselves. At the heart of Jesus' criticism of the scribes and Pharisees was their tendency to exalt themselves in the eyes of others. Jesus corrects this tendency by saying that the greatest among you must be your servant, and that whoever humbles himself will be exalted. Therefore, if you wish to be truly great and if you wish to be exalted by God, you must serve with the deepest humility. Humility begins by seeing yourself in the light of truth. How does God see you? The humble soul seeks to discover this insight by using the eyes of Christ to look at their own soul. It would be truly humbling if we could see ourselves in the full light of the truth. But too often we take on a false image of ourselves and look at our lives through a lens of self-righteousness. We tend to quickly defend our actions, justifying the sins we commit and failing to acknowledge our weaknesses. What would you see if you look at yourself with humility? One glaring thing you will see is your sin. Our lives are filled with sin. Sometimes they are serious sins, and at other times less serious. But our lives are undoubtedly filled with sins and imperfections. If we are blind to those sins, then we lack the necessary humility we need to see ourselves in the light of truth. The virtue of humility will also take us a step further than seeing our sins clearly. It will also help us to see our need for God's grace in order to change, to love and to serve God and others. We cannot love by our own efforts. It is impossible. The love of charity is only possible when it is God who lives in us and acts through us. God and God alone is able to work through charity through our actions. Knowing and believing this humble truth is the only way to open the door to that grace. Reflect today upon the humility that you need in order to truly love. When you love others with the pure love of God, you will discover within yourself a need to serve. You will see others as objects of your love. You will discover a burning desire to help them, forgive them, be gentle and merciful to them, and to do all you can to help them discover the truth of their own lives so they will, in turn, humbly turn to God. The scribes and Pharisees failed miserably at this mission, and that is one of the reasons that Jesus used them as an example. Do not follow their lead. Seek to take the opposite approach. Seek humility. Seek the truth. If you do, God will use you in powerful ways and will exalt you on high. And God bless you.
Brothers and sisters, on this 31st Sunday, in ordinary time, we would be reflecting on the value of humility in God's service. Humility in doing what they're speaking. Humility in matching up our words with our deeds. We have a strong condemnation of racism of the Lord in the gospel against the religious authorities at that time, the scribes and the Pharisees, for a very simple reason that they are good in preaching, they are good in speaking, but in doing what they're supposed to say, then they did fall short. There was no correspondence on their deeds and their works. Secondly, is on the aspect of ostentations, showing themselves. They want to be recognized in public. They want to be seen. They want to be greeted as somebody, especially some religious activities. Forgetting then that humility is something fast to always practice whenever we go, especially if we occupy then a place of honor. It's not a key or ticket for us to be seen, to be greeted, and to be afforded with such special honor and place of entitlement. Now in Paul's letter to the Thessalonians in the second reading, we have a very beautiful image of leadership when it is viewed in terms of humble service that could be seen by nurturing people in the practice of their faith, caring them just like a mother caring her child. Is then how we care, how we nurture others, that we possibly be seen as somebody after not our own entitlement, right? But we're after to those people who are called the evangelists. Now, as Jesus has warned his disciples in the gospel, the Lord is admonishing us likewise, to all of us, to love God with all heart, mind, and soul, and to love others as we love ourselves. Love is what defines our commitment, our ministry, and our apostolate. And humility is the key of how we could possibly be more effective, relevant, significant in the lives of people. Many of us, brothers and sisters, are in the ministry of leadership, service, apostolate. How have we been serving others? Are we serving them with utmost humility, nurturing the simple and little faith, and at the same time showing them that our words don't correspond our good deeds. Pleasant Sunday, brothers and sisters.